Welcome to lecture 36. This is a lecture which I'm going to call Latent Heat of Water, the Gematria latent heat of water. I'm going to show you how water, or how ice in this case, becomes water through Gematria. It's part of this little booklet here called Ice, Water, Steam. This booklet is not just a short booklet which shows how ice is connected to water and water is connected to steam, and I do that both in English and in Hebrew. And that idea came on when I finished writing this book called The Mystery of Water, and this book is one of my early books. It doesn't use the normal value in. Oh, yes, it does. It does indeed. I must have covered that. It doesn't use combinations of more than just the placement value and the normal value, which is the total value, or the placement value and the large value, which is the whole value. It doesn't go beyond those types of Gematria. I hadn't discovered that one could go beyond that at the time I wrote this. But this is a book which based on the findings of Masaru Emoto, who showed that your thoughts, even and your words, affect the crystalline structure of water crystals. He used to freeze them to a certain temperature and look in the microscope at these crystals that were formed from water, and they were very beautiful, some of them. This one is on Hope, and I'll show you that. I've got a book of all his photos of different crystalline structures, and they all come out sort of the shape of a Star of David, Magen David, or what we call a hexagram. And I show how the Star of David is connected to water in this book. And I think I've done a lecture earlier in showing how the Star of David is connected to God. This is the Star of David, where the 6-point star, where you got all the lines with numbers 1 to 13, and they will add to 26. I have done that on the board before. I extend that further in this book, and if you were to subdivide the lines into half, so you get 37 points, and you get a magic star of 37. That's in here. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to show how ice can become water, and the Gematria system I want to use on this is called the third dimensional value, which I think I have used it once before, but I want to show what it means by showing from this example. So let's start. I'm going to put the word ice here, and I'm going to write down the placement values, which is 9, 3 and 5. Okay, I is 9th letter, 3, 5. Now I find the large values, so I find out what the word 9 equals in placement value, and 9 equals 42. These are the large, or the LV values. 3, the word 3 equals 56, and 5 equals 42. So we get this sort of, at this level, we get this sort of symmetry within ice. And now we go to the next level. We say, what does the words 42 equal to? I've done this before, and I've called it the soul value. So 42 is like the soul value of 9, when 9 is the body value, that's the soul value. Now we do the next, we extend it further. 42 is 142. 56 is 118. And 42 is 142. So now, if I add these values up, 9, 3 and 5, he's dead. Another pen I can throw in the basket. Here we are. Yeah, he's working. 9, 3 and 5 is 17. I don't need this. Well, I will need it for something else, but not for for the main part. So I'm going to put this down now, what these come to. So 42, 56 and 42 equals 140. And I'll show you why I need that, because 140 is the normal value of circle. We've had that before. Normal value, NV. Alright, 140. But put that aside at the moment. If we add these together, 142, 118, 142, we will get 402. Okay, I call this the third dimensional value, the TDV. I call this the first dimensional value, the second and the third. So in a way, we're going up in energies. I'm going to show you how that comes when we show the equivalence to water. And I'm going to add 17, and I'm going to add it to 402. These are two types of energies that come together, and that's going to give me 419. Okay? 419. And 419 is the large value of water. So if I was to rub this off now, so water has the placement value of 67, that's the PV, and it has the large value of 419. So what's happened here is that we have injected some energy into the water. We've uplifted it from its, into the ice. We've uplifted it from its value of 17 to its value of 402, 2 levels, and together they come out to be water. So I call that the Gematria latent heat of water. So, okay, let's move that a little bit further. We're going to take these 3 values, which one's disappeared. The exercise of taking water to steam, you'll have to see in my book. It's a little bit more complicated, but I do that in the book as well. So at that stage, the molecules in water become free to go where they like, and it becomes a gas. So I'm looking at these values now. We're going to look at 17, 140, and 402. This value here is very prominent in my book, Elisha and the 2 she-bears, where I explain how what happened there was connected to water as well, as much as a few things in his life was connected to water. That part was also connected to water. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to actually work out what is 17 equal to, what is 140 equal to, and what is 142 equal to. We'll see what these numbers represent now. 17 is 109. 140 is 211. And 402 is 211. They're both the same. So it's like that they get to this stage and it becomes this stage. There is a sort of no rise in temperature, but there's a rise in energy. That is latent heat. Latent heat stays at 0 degrees and it changes from ice to water without any change. What is the change? What is causing that change? Heat energy. So now we take it to the next level. We're going to move over 109, 211, all right? 109 is 169, all right? We'll come to that number soon. 211 equals 214. And, of course, we've got 214 over here. Let's look at the word heat. We're going to look at the normal value, where H is 8, E is 5, A is 1, and T is 200. What do I have? I have 214, and that's the normal value. In other words, this number here, this movement over from 402 and 140, 2 levels over, we get to the heat. This is the hidden part. This is an interesting number there, but I'm still working on what, because this is connected to the number 1. But it's quite a little bit more work I'm going to do on that, but that's not in my book. right? And this also is not in that booklet. So this is new that I'm giving you today. So we know that heat raises the water, the ice, and transforms it from ice to water. Now, I said about the circle, the 140 per circle, and that kind of rung bells to me because a lot of ice molecules. Let's look at the molecule of water is actually H2O. Everybody knows that. And it forms in ice into a structure, circular structure, a ring structure. And that is not always the case, but many times the ice form where you have a hydrogen atom joining up to its mother, let's say, it's joined to an oxygen atom, but sometimes it's connected to the oxygen atom next to it as well. So it's flipping over all the time. The oxygen, the electrons of the hydrogen are sharing between. So the electron and the hydrogen will be one time with an oxygen and one time with another oxygen. So it forms a structure which I'll just put on the board. I've seen pictures of this on the internet, so you can see this yourself. And it forms a hexagon shape, and you get like an oxygen atom and a hydrogen atom, and then you'll get an oxygen atom and a hydrogen atom, and we go around, and that connects to an oxygen atom and a little hydrogen atom. I'm trying to hold on a minute. That should be formed. That's the way it's usually, and that's where it connects to, and then we can go around in a hexagon shape. One line, another line. This would be an oxygen atom to its hydrogen, and then that will connect to an oxygen atom which is a hydrogen atom, and then that will connect to an oxygen atom and hydrogen, and that connects up. You get a hexagon shape. If you can sort of see what I'm trying to do. Here's my red. So these are the oxygen atoms. And you say, well, hold on a moment, there's two hydrogen atoms. Well, the other hydrogen atom is sticking up, connecting to the next layer. So that's one formation of the ring of the molecules. Now, they are made up of, a molecule of water is made up of two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. And I'll write it out as symbol is H2O. And the Hebrew for water is mayim, which is mem, yud. I'm going to write it in block, that's script. So here's block, mem, yud, and a final mem. Okay, that says mayim. And mayim has got two mems, two hydrogen atoms, and one yud, oxygen. I might have mentioned this before, where the yud being oxygen. In Hebrew, we have the word for soul is neshama. This is neshama. That's the soul, the intellectual soul, resides in the brain. And neshima, with the yud, is breath. So it's like we've added the oxygen, because breath relies upon oxygen. And the mem is hydrogen, and that can be seen in the word shemesh in Hebrew. The word shemesh is sun, and the basis of the sun cycle is hydrogen, and that's right in the middle of the word shemesh. And the two sheens on either side represent fire, because the sheen for Aish, which is the Hebrew for fire, and it looks like a fire because these three branches that come out, if you look in the Torah scroll, it looks like a flames coming up. So we have shemesh, which is hydrogen, and the fire that comes out from hydrogen, and that's mayim. Okay, so let's now take the English for oxygen and hydrogen. Let's rub this out. We've got the idea that there's a circle created, or a hexagon, and that hexagon is the basis of the water crystals, which I've showed in the book, of that Star of David. Is the basis of that is a hexagon. So now we take, we have oxygen, and we work out the placement value of that, which is 90. And we have hydrogen, and we work out the placement value of that, which is 96. And we have two of those. But if we just add those two basic ones, which forms the ring, because you only need one hydrogen to form the ring, we add that together, we get 186. And if we write the words water molecule, we get 186. No, we don't, because I missed out the word the. If we use the water molecule, we get 186 as a placement value, which is quite interesting that there is this connection between oxygen, hydrogen, and the water molecule. Now, if I were to add two hydrogen atoms, let's take the water molecule away. If I add now two hydrogen atoms, so I'm going to add another 96, okay, I get 282. Alright, 282. And now we look at the Hebrew for water, which we had was mayim. So let's write mayim up again. And mayim, that's the 13th letter, that's 3, placement value, 10. And I'm going to use the mem as the final letter, where the final letters can have the alternative value when they're at the end of the alphabet, So final chaf is 23. The last letter is taf, then it goes, that's 22. Final chaf is 23. Final mem is 24. So we put 24 here. Change the colour. 24. And if I add that together, I'll get 47. And remember, when I showed you in the hexagon, there were 6 molecules of water round, one with a hydrogen atom connected to the next oxygen atom. And so if I have 6 lots of 47, I will get 282, showing its relationship to the water molecule. Okay, so as far as circle goes, we had those values before of, let me just show you again. We had 17, we had 140, and we had 402. These were the placement, large value, and third dimensional values of ice. And I showed that was 109, and that was 11, and that was 211, and this was 169. The significance of that may be connected to the letter mem, because 13 squared is 169, but I'm not too worried about that, not too certain on that, but it could be. So I have this section here that is not involved in, it is involved, but it's not in the Gematria. So this is really a symbolic energy of where the latent heat comes into it, the heat building up. If I add all those numbers together, I get 565. And just as an interest, if you take 282, which we've got here, and we work out what that equals to, its inner value or soul value, I'll get 283. And interesting, if I add those together, I'll get 565 coming up here, which was connected to the circle, which is connected to the ring, okay, which itself is connected to this number 282, because we've got 6 molecules going around. So, still a bit of interesting connections there, and how water is interrelated to ice. There was one other thing, let's see where I put it. Oh yes. So we said, one last thing, interesting. We said that we took this value and we multiplied it by 6. This is the Hebrew for water, mayim, and we multiplied its alternative placement value, I call it, by 6, and we've got 282. What happens if I take the placement value of water and multiply it by 6, because there's 6 molecules going around? So we'll do it with water. What did I say water was? Water was 67. Water has a placement value of 67. Okay, PV. What happens if I multiply that by 6? What do I get then? So 6 times 67 is 402. Lo and behold, that is actually the value of that. So there's a connection of water to the structure of ice as it becomes water, as it becomes actually water. So we see this connection because at this stage it's transforming into water. Ice is no longer solid. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little different than what I've done before. This is a sort of more scientific way of looking at these systems and how they interrelate. There is oh, there was just one more thing I just caught my eye just now. If I was to add these two values is 383, and this is another connection to circle because that is the normal inner value of circle, 383. So you have the normal value of circle and the normal inner value of circle connected to this pattern here that's going on between ice. So yeah, this is I hope a demonstration of what I have mentioned before of the energy value of Gematria. Gematria equals 74, energy equals 74 in the placement value. So we see this connection between energy and Gematria, that there is the number value, the word that God spoke, or the words that we speak are vibrational energies of form perhaps we don't understand yet. They they may be structural, say it's connected to geometry. I've got plenty more research to look into this in more detail, and my physics background will hopefully come into use in looking into this more. I'm looking into the idea of the levels of brain waves. I'm looking into the levels of the 4 fundamental forces of the universe, of which there are more than 4 fundamental forces. They begin to discover more, and my Gematria show that there has to be more than 4 different forces then to play, because when the 4 basic formulas of Gematria are extendable, and then you've also got the sum of square, so you've got more different systems of Gematria showing different levels of energy, and we all interact that way as well, because our own personality has many different extensions, many different ways of existing. Some of us are musical, some of us are artistic, some of us are scientific, some of us are mathematical, some people like history, all different tastes and sizes, and different people. Some people are more angry, some people are more patient, some people are kind. Whatever it is, people have different characteristics, and all that is part of the energy within our personality and how we function. And if we have a rapport with somebody, it's because we have, well, there's plenty of ways of gaining rapport. By NLP talks about that. But we have a very strong attachment to somebody, then it's possibly because you've got a Gematria connection, and that applies to anything really: wedding, marriage, partnerships in business, partnerships in scientific research, whatever it is. There are connections between people and their partners or friends, as I've shown in some of my books. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon. I'm going to be using this system, the idea of the 3-dimensional system, in my next lecture as well, and you'll see how it works then. Right, be well, we'll see you soon.